Hi there, this is a Facebook Live that I'm doing on Tuesday, the 16th of February. This is also being uploaded to YouTube, so if you are joining me on YouTube, you might want to just scroll on for a few minutes just while I'm waiting for people to come and join me. I can see that people are joining me now. Good morning. I hope you're well this morning. Don't know if you're on your tea break or if you're maybe not working, or maybe you're working and listening to me in the background. But it's really lovely to have you with me at the moment. I've got a bit of a selection of things in front of me that I'm going to be crafting with this morning. Hi there, Jane. How are you this morning, Jane? Are you well? I hope you are. I'm just going to give this a few minutes. I will get going at 10 o'clock. I know that Facebook is sometimes, there's a little lag in between what I'm showing here and then what you see. Let's just push these a bit further forward, just trying to get everything central and the camera shot there. Got all sorts of things. Today's about punches. I'm really well, thank you, Jane. I am. That's only because I'm not working this week. Morning, Tracy. Hi there, Kathy. Just a couple of minutes. I will start at 10. So if you are catching up with this on YouTube, a couple of minutes and I will get going. Hello there, Wendy. How are you? How are you doing on half term with all your brood? Tracy, you'll have kids at home as well, won't you, for half term? I hope that's going well. Morning, Karen. Hope you're good this morning. Thank you everyone for joining me. I've given no hint other than it's a 3D project, and I've become a little bit obsessed with this project this morning. I've been mucking about with measurements, trying to give you a couple of alternatives, but also an opportunity for you to work this out as well, depending on the size of your gift. Oh, Janice, I didn't realise when you called in yesterday that you were from New Zealand. Hello. So this is the evening for you, isn't it? This is starting to get a bit late, I'm presuming. I never know what the time difference is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get going and get this 3D project for you. Oh, well, that's a bonus, Tracy, if if you've depleted the numbers a little bit there. Oh, so you're in front of us, Janice. Oh, I'm rubbish with things like this. So it's 11 p.m. Tuesday. Oh my goodness, I best get going then, because Janice probably needs to get to bed. So what I'm using today, I've got Artistry Bloom paper, Artistry Blooms rather, and then I've got this is called Ice Cream Corner. So what I'm using for this particular project, you need some paper that's got no vertical direction, because what we're going to do is fold the paper like that, and whatever will be the right way up on this side will be the wrong way on the other. So I'm going to see if I can do this in 20 minutes. This is what I'm making today. Little gift box. This one is a no glue gift box just because it's thin. And then I then made a fatter variety, just that it's, see, this one's thin here, this one's a little bit fatter. Yeah, it must be a lot less stress if you're not homeschooling. And then I've gone wider and fatter, So what I'm going to try and do is very quickly show you the thin one and the fat one. That's no other way of describing those, I'm afraid. Well, let's say wider and deeper. Anyway, so I'm going to start with I'm going to use my favourite of the two papers for the bigger box, and I'll use this one for the smaller box. It's all about punches today, so I've got the scallop topped tag punch for the thinner box, and then I'm going to be using the Detail Trio punch for the bigger box, and then I'm also going to be using the Heart Punch pack as well to decorate it. Get this done in 20 minutes? No chance, but I'll do the best I can. The only discontinued thing I'm using is this. You just need something to make a hole, so I'm going to be using that, but we don't have that anymore, which is such a sad thing. Right, let's get those out of the way. And I've got, what have I got? No, I'm not going to be using Mango Melody. I'm not going to be using that paper now. Bermuda Bay. I'll just decorate one of these. There's only time to decorate one. So for this thin one, oh, and I'm using a Ranger Wreath because I love that Best Wishes stamp. I use that all the time. And then I've got a clear block. So for those of you that saw my video yesterday afternoon about the new Butterfly Bijou paper, please excuse my excitement on that. Oh my word, what beautiful paper. Absolutely beautifully stunning. And if you want to hear somebody get super excited about paper, just watch yesterday afternoon's video. Right, I've got some measurements here. So your paper needs to be, I'll keep an eye on comments, but I've got to concentrate on measurements for this one. So you've got that your paper is 4 inches wide. So this is for the smaller box. So this will hold a thin gift. So this narrower one, kind of like a thin chocolate bar. We'll do that, or a couple of chocolate bars, thinner ones. So 4 inches wide by 8 inches. And I would recommend practicing this a couple of times if you're going to gift this to somebody. Just because the measurements aren't complicated, but there is a little bit of marking and scoring to be done. So 4 inches by 8 inches. For this thinner one, on the short side, you need to score at 1 inch. And sorry, I'm not concentrating. 1 inch and 3 inches. Trying to think about measurements and all sorts of things. So 1 inch and 3 inches. And then on the long side, you score. There will be a blog post for this, but it's not scheduled to go out until next week because I've already blogged all of this week. So it will appear next week. I'll leave a link in my just keep an eye on this page and I'll leave a link for it. Oh my goodness, I can't talk and think and read at the same time. Score at 3 3/4. So the bottom of this box is 1/2 inch wide. Got shaky hands this morning. So 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. Now, luckily for me, I can see those score lines. When you turn your paper over, so this is the inside of this, if you can't see the score lines, I highly recommend that you get a pencil or a pen, especially if you're just making this for the first time. I've lost my sharp pencil. Put that down somewhere. And just make a mark on these score lines because you need them for when you are, really does help when you have the light on them actually. These are important marks. Now this is going to feel a little bit like a maths lesson. It's a bit of a busman's holiday for me. If your box is going to be, this is 2 inches, this middle panel, which means these are 1 inch, which means the height of this cannot be more than 1 inch. Because we need a right angle. That's all the maths you're going to get today. I'm not going to bore you with any more maths. So from each of that, you've got 2 score lines here. Just measure out 1 inch either side. This is not, don't think, oh, she's going maths. Don't worry, it's fine. I'm just explaining why you've got to do that, because if you're going to make different sizes, and I'm going to give you an alternative size, that's the logic behind it. Okay? So whatever this distance is here, these need to be half of that, and then how far you're measuring out there needs to be the same distance as here. Okay? I'll just leave it at that. Now I've lost my little scoring tool. There it is. So I'm going to, from where these 2 lines join here, put your scoring thingy down and then score up to that mark that you made. And you want that to be as exact as possible, because we do want a decent right angle there. So again, just from where the 2 score lines meet up to that. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. I'm going to have a look. Yeah, that's showing quite nicely there. So if you're just having a practice at these first, use those pencil marks to help you see where those score lines are. Okay, hopefully you can see that. And then, before I fold and burnish anything else, what you're going to do is just to very gently give them a little push like that. Don't go right into the corner, because you're possibly going to damage that where those 2 score lines meet. So just a gentle little squeeze. Not scored that particularly well there. Little gentle squeeze, and there we go. So that's what you'll end up with. So bone folder. Now fold and burnish your other score lines. We'll decorate the top. So you'll fold these in like that, and that will demonstrate how accurate your score lines were. That's probably the best I've got them. And then with your scalloped tag topper punch, it won't work if you put all 4 of those in. Do one at a time. It's just the right size to push in there and then create that top like that. So there's the top of our, I don't know what you call it, it's kind of like a mix between a bag and a box. So like this, I'm just making sure I'm on camera. Get your index fingers inside there where this gap is here, and with your thumb and your middle fingers you're pushing that together like that, and then pushing that down. Get your bone folder carefully into the corner, but just give that a good burnish. Same with that one. Sometimes it's really difficult to see, that's why I'm doing this slowly, to see where this is all going. But if you do those first kind of squeezes of those score lines, it should work. Don't lose your rag with it, don't get impatient with it. Practice it a couple of times, says me, the impatient crafter. So when you put that together like that, it all kind of squeezes together like that. And you can, once you've got your gift in there, let's find something. I haven't got anything, I did look. This is a bit too, this is why I made a bigger one, because my Milky Way is too big for my box. But it would just sit in there like that. And you squeeze it together and it holds, it's too fat, but it holds it with some ribbon. So I'm just going to take that out 2 fudge bars works very well in there. And also, you know those, I am a sweet expert, you know those raspberry and dark chocolate things, raspberry ruffles I think they're called, they fit quite nicely in there as well. We need a little bit of ribbon. Now I don't know if I've got matching ribbon, I don't think I have, but this is purely for demonstration purposes only. What's that? No, that's, I want some white, but I don't think I've got any, which is highly annoying. Oh, right, I'm going to go with this. I've got some Rococo Rose ribbon. I need to get this used up. This is going to be retiring soon. It's not the ideal ribbon for this. You could do with something that's a bit smaller. Loop it and then put both ends through that hole. And then poke the ends through the loop. And then you have that, and it all just sits together quite nicely. And it doesn't fall out, whatever you've got in here doesn't fall out. Goes together quite nicely. And then what you could do is decorate it. I'm going to show you how to decorate the bigger one in a second. So I think there are tutorials for this all over YouTube and Pinterest. I got this from Sally Shaw because she gifted me something for at a corporate event at On Stage, I think it was. It came from her, and then I just had to dissect the whole thing and work out how she did it. So then I thought, well, that's just not the right size. We want something maybe wider, but also with a I nearly said with a deeper bottom, but with a wider bottom. It doesn't even sound any better, does it? But if you want to go wider, then it's not going to fit into your tag topper punch as soon as you go any wider than that. The other thing is as well, if you make the bottom of this wider, then these need to be glued down. So here's an alternative for this. So I wanted to make something that was 3 inches wide, and this is 1 inch. So this one that I just made is 1/2 inch. This one is 1 inch. I had a real play about with this. Let me show you what's happened this morning. So I was trying to muck about and then realised I needed right angles, which was why then these were poking out like that. Yeah. Look, I've made loads of them. I was mucking about with that one. Could I make it taller? I've got these all over the place. Some ended up in the bin. Then my scoring was wrong because I couldn't work out that half of 8 1/4, half of 8 1/2 was 4 1/4, and I was doing it 4 1/8. But that's pretty with that ribbon. I just wanted to make it bigger. So what I'm going to do, this was with some old DSP because I was mucking about with it. So what I'm going to do is use this. So this is from the Ice Cream Corner DSP. I like that, but we've got some ice cream. Let me show you. You couldn't use that because when you're folding it over, you're then going to have upside down ice creams. The lollies won't work. So I had to go for something that had, I could have used that if I wanted to, but I've gone for that instead. I've just talked and talked, but you all seem to be watching nice and quiet this morning, which is good, and then I don't get distracted by comments and do something totally wrong. So this is a piece of DSP that is 6 inches by 12, and I'm just going to trim this down, but you could leave it at 12. You could make this a really big box, but if you're going 6 inches, it means that the height of this bit can't be more than 1 1/2. Okay, so if you're going to go taller, you've got to be aware of that. If you're going to go taller, you've got to go wider. But what you need to do, whatever the height of your box is going to be whatever you start off with. Find your midway point, and then your score lines are going to come half of the width of the bottom either side. But I'm going to trim this down to 8.5 inches because we don't want a maths lesson, do we? Try and have a week off from teaching. So this is 8.5. That's all I need to do is take that off, and then I might even use that for part of my sentiment. Don't know yet. We'll see. I'll probably forget about it, so I'll just put it the other side of the desk. Score lines on the short side. Let's just move that a minute. Score lines on the short side are at 1.5 and at 4.5. Have I got that right? Yes. Honestly, I've mucked up so many measurements. And then your score lines need to be on the long side at 3 3/4. I already realised that it's now 2 minutes to 20 past. This is going to be more than 20 minutes. So 3 3/4 and 4 3/4. So that gives me a 1 inch bottom. Now these are a little less easy to see, these score lines, so I just need to make a mark on these because I actually can't see them. I wouldn't normally, I would just, if I was gifting this, I would normally just take my time in trying to find them, but you don't need to watch me doing that. So we're going to have an edge that comes up by 1.5 inches, like that. That is 1.5, isn't it? Yes. So for this one, whereas the last one I went up 1 inch, the width of this panel here that's going to fold into the middle, this is 1.5. So it means that I can go 1.5 that way. So I'm going to just make a mark there at 1.5. And then from this one here at 1.5, turn it round. So we're going to glue these down. So I'm going to use tear and tape for this. I think liquid glue would probably be the best one, but we don't have enough time to sit and watch glue dry. So the same thing that I did before, just taking from where those two score lines meet up to that 1.5 inch mark. And the same there as well. It's all about angles, this project. So they're not easy to see, but all we've done is just created some angles. I'm hoping you can see that. There's that score line and there's where the two lines meet. And as I did before, I'm just going to give these a little squeeze just before I put it all together. Now obviously, because the middle panel of this is 3 inches, it's not going to fit into the tag topper, so I'm going to do something different. But first I'm going to fold and burnish all of these score lines. I have tried this with card. I think card is too thick for this. You can give it a go if you like, but I was wrestling with it. I think card is too thick, and I think you'll end up just ruining the card. I think it would just get too bashed. The paper can take it. So there's my index finger in that gap there, and then my middle finger and my thumb just pushes that together like that. I'll do the top in a second. So doing the same where I've pushed those in just push that down and burnish that score line there like that, just by poking it in. I'm hoping you can see that. It's really difficult on the camera. And then again, just poking that in there, and do the other side. Get your bone folder in there and give it a good burnish. Look at that for shocking score lines. It is what it is. So that's going to fold up like that. And we're going to glue those down so they will sit in there eventually. So line those up. Just make sure it all sits right. And I'm going to get my detailed trio punch. Hello there, Trisha. Hi there, Lewis. And I'm just going to round off each of these. You might find some other way of decorating the top of it, but rounding it just looks a little bit better than the than those harsh corners. Lewis, I'm going to turn you into a crafter. You sit and watch, but we need you to craft something. There we are, like that. That's going to sit like that. And while we're here and I've got those squeezed together, I'm going to make a mark at 1.5 inches. That's halfway along. Just about there. I normally eyeball it, and I've got it wrong so many times. Right, just to finish this off, what we need to do is glue these two together like that. And I would say really take your time on these angles here, because I've done that and it does not quite match. So really take your time on those. That's because I brushed it. So I want to run some tear and tape along here, along here, along here, and along here. So Lewis, what could we craft? But he's devastated now that I'm talking to him on here. Lewis, we could have made a handmade card for Phoebe's birthday. I could have taught you over Zoom. As I said, liquid glue would be better on here. Just a little bit time consuming to watch all of this. One more. But this tear and tape is so lovely and sticky. I love tear and tape. Okay, let's get the other bit of my take your pick tool. So Lewis, I'd like to know, you sat in a van somewhere watching this? So what we're going to do, while I'm working out if Lewis is sat in a van, we've put some tear and tape on there, and I'm just going to pull that in and match that score line with that score line. I'm going to take this one off as well and do these two. So it pushes in, that score line will match that score line. And make sure you're happy where it is before you then squeeze it together. Sorry this is taking longer. I said it was going to be short projects. Shouldn't have done the other one. So make sure these middle bits fold in. Get your bearings before you press them down. You're crafting with your sarnies. That's good. So we've got that in there, and then let's take these off. It all starts to get a little bit awkward. I'm going to show you in a minute what this will hold. So make sure, get your bearings with it. These flaps have to come in like that, and then those two folded lines are matching. Don't be too heavy-handed with it, you'll crease the paper too much. But if you're gentle, it will all go together. And even with my dodgy score line there, that all worked. And then I'm just getting inside there and just get the bone folder and just again burnish those score lines again. It's like performing open heart surgery. And then that puts those score lines right that have gone a little bit, although it's trying to get right. I'm just gonna have a word with this. It's there now because I've stuck it down. It's because of a bad score line. So we've got this. Now I made that mark in the middle. So getting my 1/2 inch circle punch, which is just tragic that this isn't available anymore. Make sure this all joins up, that it all matches before you, and then wear protective goggles. I'm just watching this back because my video is a couple of seconds behind. I can see those go absolutely flying. That's funny. Okay, so let's find some ribbon for this. Now it's not, I don't think it's an exact match, but it will do. I think you need a chunky ribbon for this bigger box, and I'm going to go with Pretty Peacock. I think that's absolutely fine. I'm not worried that that doesn't match. I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. Oh, so you're not far away, Vena. You're not far away, Lewis. I'm Vena. Lovely. Crafting with copper piping. So push both ends through there, pull the loop through, and then just give it gently a bit of a tug like that. Now I'm just going to decorate this quickly, and I've got, do I use that? No, I don't like that. I've got some Bermuda Bay cardstock, which I'll put to one side. There it is. And I'm going to take one of the hearts, the scalloped edge, and I'm hoping that will fit. Now, for those of you that have been demos for a while, you'll probably recognise that. So a little bit of a bonus question for you demos, or if you're a previous demo, do you recognise that? Now, Lewis, you can set a trend. Also with this, you might find that it's easy if you just poke those in. And what I haven't done is put the gift in. Let me decorate it first. No, I won't, because I'll forget. So let me show you what this holds. I'm just going to open that back up again, because I'm an idiot and didn't fill it. This will hold quite nicely 3. These are little mini Milky Ways. They fit in there perfectly. Those Milky Ways are from a craft fair that I did nearly 18 months ago now, so there's no chance of me eating those. They're good for demonstration purposes though. So we have that with my 3 Milky Ways in there. So I have that. I'm not going to stamp on that. I'm going to stamp on some white cardstock. So I've got a piece of scrap here. It's a big piece of scrap. It's because I folded something and it went wrong. So I've got the Best Wishes stamp from, horrible noise, sorry, from Arrange a Wreath. that on my block, and I'm going to stamp that in. Shall I tell you what my favourite programme on the television is at the moment? Is The Repair Shop. I know I'm getting old, because I love The Repair Shop, and I just, you know, these are people that craft with all sorts of things. They're so clever. Does anybody else watch that? Oh, I can't shut my ink. Okay then, Trisha. See you soon. Then I'm just going to put that on there with, now yesterday I used quite a few dimensionals and I went off and I had a little lie down, got over that. I'm just going to use a few on this project. Okay, I'm just going to layer that up on there like that, and then put that on the front of my box there. So almost at the end now, almost at the end. They are extremely talented people. And there's always a really sad story. I always end up in tears watching that programme. There's always some really emotional stories on there, but what they do is just incredible. So I'm just going to put that on there in the middle, like that. Probably should have put it on the other side and cover up that. I'll just cover up that dodgy score line with my thumb there. So there you have it. We've got a couple of alternatives. I've got loads of these now. On my blog post, I'll put as many of the measurements on there as possible. I can't find my original. There it is. I mean, you don't have to put a sentiment on the front. I just wanted to show you something different that you could do. So there we go. Three different size boxes there. You can fill with whatever you like. I've seen these filled with tea bags, like you get those hot chocolate sachets, tea lights, all sorts of things. They're great. And when kids can start having children's parties again, these could be a nice thing perhaps to hang on a tree. They're good for Christmas to hang on a tree. I've gone way over time that I planned to. Sorry, everybody. So there we go. I hope you like them. There will be a blog post for this in 1 week's time. I'll put a link up on my Facebook page as soon as that's ready. But the YouTube video will be up there within the next hour or so. Thank you everybody for joining me. I am honestly really grateful when people join me, and I'll be back again tomorrow, and I'm going to do some stamping tomorrow. I don't know what with yet, but I will be doing some stamping. Thanks again. I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.